Your Life, the program you dare not miss, brought to you by Liquid Prel, the shampoo that's extra rich to leave your hair looking radiantly alive. And Gleam, the toothpaste for people who can't brush after every meal. And now, here he is, Mr. This Is Your Life himself, Ralph Edwards.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. Thank you. Welcome to This Is Your Life. Oh, here we are, back from Denver. Had a good time there, too, in that wonderful Mile High City last week. Tonight, our principal subject is someone seated here in our audience at NBC Burbank, California. Perhaps it's this unsuspecting lady right over here. Do you think it's your life tonight?
No, I don't think so.
You don't think so? Do you think it's your life tonight?
No, it isn't.
Might have been, you know, either one of you. You can't tell when you come here. Perhaps it's, maybe it's this lady here. Do you think it's your life tonight?
No.
No? You're not dressed for it or what?
No.
Well, tonight? No, I guess not tonight. Some other time. Perhaps it's, let's see. Could it, I tell you what, I have a letter here. Where is the thing? Here it is. Ah, yes, a little letter. Now, this letter made stops in the USA, then went on to Panama and to Christmas Island in the Pacific, on to Germany. And I have another one that went, from the Great Lakes to Japan and on to Alaska. Did anyone here write that kind of a round-robin letter? If you did, would you raise your hands, please? Did anyone write a round-robin letter that went all around to the Pacific and all around? Did you write a letter like that went all around?
Not lately.
Not lately, but you have written lots of letters that have made a round-robin?
Mm-hmm.
You have? Yes, I think so. Mother of 8 children, who gave 7 sons to serve in the armed forces of the USA. Mrs. Sadie Glommen of Royal Oak, Michigan, this is your life. Save that letter for me. I want to give it back to Mommy. My, how did you happen to come out to California? We know, but now...
I haven't seen him for 5 years, and I came out to see him.
Your son, Ed, yeah. See, he wasn't on vacation at all. He was working all the time, running between the job and here and everything. We want to do your story, Mrs. Glommen, because you're typical of all the mothers whose children have scattered to the 4 corners of the earth. And because of your wonderful gift for letter writing, your children have crossed the 7 seas and lived in distant places. But always, your round-robin letters kept them bound together in family unity, gave them that sense of belonging to each other that is the most precious part of being a family. Your son, Edward, will take you to our chair of honor. You're kind of glad it's over, aren't you?
Sure am.
Yeah, I bet you am. Well, thanks, Ed. And as we go, let's look in on Bob Warren.
Hey, show me the woman who wouldn't fall head over heels for a sable coat like this. Wow. You know, you could buy a yacht for what this coat cost. You know, perhaps we can satisfy you with smaller luxuries, a little luxury like this, for instance.
I love to indulge myself in fashionable little luxuries like this. Don't you? One of my pet luxuries is Liquid Prel, the extra rich shampoo. Extra rich. More luxurious than any other shampoo I've ever tried.
So different from thin, watery, and wasteful shampoos, Liquid Prel is extra rich. It bursts into such lavish lather, nourishes, never starves the beauty of your hair, leaves your hair fresh, sweetly clean, looking radiantly alive. Extra rich Liquid Prel is one of the little luxuries that mean so much. Don't you owe yourself and your hair a little luxury? Why not try Emerald Green Liquid Prel, the extra rich shampoo?
Well, now look about you, Mrs. Glommen. These are your own paintings up here. See? We got them from your home after you left on your trip out to see Ed here.
Oh.
You're an excellent self-trained artist whose paintings have been shown in many exhibitions. Aren't those wonderful?
Oh,
I think so. Ms. Glommen, it's been, 20 years since your 7 sons and your 1 daughter have all been together with you at the same time. Isn't that so?
That's right.
Your husband is no longer living. You've been by yourself at home. So let's share your memories as you've written your round-robin letters, looking out of a window that has borne a flag with 7 service stars, 7 sons in uniform. Mrs. Sadie Glommen, this is your life. Sometimes your letters tell of the lessons you learned as one of 5 girls and 4 boys of the family of Andrew Roram, a Norwegian farmer. Where were you born, Mrs. Glommen?
In Morris County.
Yes.
In Morris was the name of the... No, it wasn't Morris.
Ottawa, Illinois, wasn't it? Near Ottawa?
Well, that was where I was brought up.
I see.
But I think I was born... my birth certificate came from Morris, Illinois. That was right near Ottawa.
Yes. So firmly religious are your father and mother that all 4 of your brothers become Lutheran ministers. One time you rebel at going to church. Your father gives you permission to stay home, but what did he tell you that you'd have to do if you stayed home?
He told me I should read and pray by myself.
The whole time, during church?
No, he didn't say the whole time, but he said, if you don't want to go... He didn't tell me I should go. He just said, if you don't want to go, you read and pray at home.
Yeah. So you never missed again, did you?
No, I never missed it.
All of your brothers were in the ministry. Now, what did you 5 girls decide to do in life?
Well, we were teachers.
You take your teacher's training at Pleasant View Luther College. And soon you obtain a teaching job at a rural school near Penrose, Colorado. It's wild mountain country in those days. And you have to walk 2 miles each day to teach school.
Sadie carried a gun to school to protect herself against bears and mountain lions.
That's the voice of one of your best friends from those Colorado days. You haven't seen her in nearly 20 years.
No.
Here from Denver, Colorado is Mrs. Anna Varlin.
Oh, my goodness.
Some of Sadie's students were pretty wild, too, weren't they, Miss Varlin? You
Oh,
may sit
yes.
there beside her.
Yes, they were. They used to bring rattlesnakes that they'd killed to school.
Rattlesnakes to
Yes.
school? Oh, my. You were instrumental, I believe, in bringing Sadie and her future husband together, weren't you, Miss Varlin?
Yes. I told Sadie about a nice Norwegian boy who used to work on our ranch. But Sadie didn't want any one of us to be picking out a boy for her, so she decided to wear her homeless dress to go to a picnic. But when she saw Lois Glommen, she was sorry about the dress, so she decided that on account of the dream that she had, he was the person that she would like to marry.
Yeah, she's kind of sorry she wore that dress, I'll bet, huh?
Yes.
In spite of that dress, though, Louis Glommen comes courting you, causing your heart to flutter and taking your breath away by taking you for rides on what, Mrs. Glommen?
Oh, his motorcycle.
Yeah. Just speed along the countryside, wouldn't you?
Sure.
And in a courtship almost as swift, you and Louis Glommen are married and settle down in Colorado, right, Miss Varlin?
Yes, that's right.
That's where you...
Then the 2 boys were first married, or 2 boys were born in
Yeah.
Colorado.
Well, thank you for starting your good friend's story for us, Mrs. Anna Varlin of Denver, Colorado. You'll see Miss Glommen later. Your round-robin letters first go out in these early married days, sending news to your growing family, asking news of theirs. Your letters tell how you and your husband moved to a farm near Suttons Bay, Michigan, hoping to get rich growing potatoes. What happened to the price of potatoes after you started farming?
Oh, they were 10 cents a bushel.
Yeah, they were a few dollars a bushel, I think.
About the first year that we were there.
Yeah. One excited letter of yours tells how your oldest boy, Carl, gets caught in the corn shredder. Will you tell us about that?
Oh, yes. I always had the idea that they had to be dressed very warmly, and if it hadn't been for all the coats and sweaters I'd put on him, it would have killed him.
My.
But as it was, it just took the coats and everything, and it did get his skin, too, and marks showed all over his chest on account of his...
Yeah, this firstborn boy of yours is to cause plenty of mischief to keep your days lively. And here he is, from Traverse City, Michigan, your first son, Carl Glommen. Here's Carl. Carl, like your brothers, you've roamed the world. Now, what have your mother's letters meant to you when you've been far from home?
Well, Mother's letters have always been a source of comfort and consolation. And,
They always kind of arrived just in time, too, didn't they, boy?
yeah, I sure did.
Like the time there, I think Mother wrote you to say your prayers and put your trust in the Lord. that
Yeah,
time,
and
didn't she?
about the time I got that letter, why, we were bombed 19 nights straight on Macon Island. And believe me, we were glad we'd prayed.
Now, you were in the Air Force at Pearl Harbor when the war began, weren't you, Carl?
Yes, I was, that Sunday morning I was sleeping in Wheeler Field, and I was actually dreaming that the the enemy was bombing us, and the real bombs woke me up.
At home, you hear the news on the radio, Mrs. Glommen. Despite the fact your own son was in service and in danger, you went next door to console a woman whose son also was in service. Thank you, Mr. Carl Glommen of Traverse City, Michigan. You'll see Mama later. Well, it isn't easy to raise 7 boys. As war flings your sons to the distant battlefronts, your letters go out to them. Thinking of home and all its memories, your boys recall many of the things they did that caused you worry.
Mother, remember when Carl and I found a dynamite cap and hit it with a rock?
Your second boy, now an Air Force captain at Ent Air Base, Colorado Springs, Colorado, here to surprise you is Captain Adolph Glommen.
No.
Mother's, she's wondering who did all this. Is this your work? And she's blaming Ed and all that. Well, now, mothers put up with a lot, don't they, Captain? What's this about you and a dynamite cap?
We found one among Dad's supplies. Carl and I carried it out to the apple orchard to explode it. All the younger kids followed, so we hit it with a rock, and it exploded all right.
Were any of your children hurt, Ms. Glommen?
Carl was.
Carl was.
It
What
blew
happened?
off the whole flesh of his thumb.
My goodness. Did you go to that lilac bush you used to get the switches
No,
from?
not that time.
That's where you got the switches, though, wasn't
Yes, but we got the doctor that time.
You got the doctor instead of the switches. You've flown all over the world, Captain. What effect have your mother's letters had on you?
Oh, her letters were the radar in my life. I can honestly say that they've kept me on a straight and narrow path, Ralph. Her letters reached me even in India during the war, where we were flying gasoline to Chinese bases over the hump. I was always touched when Mom's letters said that she was praying for my safety.
Thank you, Captain Adolph Glommen of the United States Air Force. Well, now, in a moment, more memories and wise words from your pen, which have kept your family in the bonds of love. But first, let's look in on a housewife who solved a problem the way many of us have. She depends on Gleam.
Bye, Mom! Don't think I haven't tried. I know my family should brush their teeth after every meal, but they just can't always. My husband, for instance, often eats while working. No chance to brush. So we depend on Gleam.
Yes, Gleam, the toothpaste for people who can't brush after every meal. That's right. One Gleam brushing destroys decay and odor-causing bacteria. You see, Gleam, and only Gleam, contains GL70 to fight decay and odor. Just watch this scientific comparison. Here are mouth bacteria before brushing. Now see how one Gleam brushing destroys most decay and odor-causing bacteria. Yes, not only destroys decay bacteria, but at the same time stops mouth odor all day for most people with just one morning brushing. Means a sweeter nighttime kiss. So use Gleam. It's the toothpaste for people who can't brush after every meal.
Back to This Is Your Life, Mrs. Sadie Glommen of Royal Oak, Michigan. A shower of your letters written down through the years, Mrs. Glommen, each full of the love that lies deep in a mother's heart. And you'd ask each child to send your letter on to the next child. Is that the way your round-robin letters work?
Yes, and then they added their letters to it, too. You see, so by the time it reached me, there were 8 letters in there.
Ah, yes. And very often your letters would arrive at a time when they were needed.
When I had a problem to face or a decision to make, Mother's letters were like a star to guide me.
Yes, it's Ellen here from her home in Traverse City, Michigan, is your 3rd child and only daughter, Mrs. Paulus Peterson.
I talked to her about a week ago, and she never told me anything.
What have your mother's letters taught you, Ellen?
Well, once when I faced a problem in my own life, I remembered back when I was a little girl and Mother was very ill with the flu. Dad was away and we were short of food. And we were all too small then to be of any help to her. I'm sure she decided right then, she realized then that her life was in danger. So as always, she prayed. very shortly after that, a neighbor lady who hadn't visited us for about a year came through the snow with some hot beef broth, and her care helped Mother recover. Now, whenever I need my faith strengthened and renewed, I always remember that direct answer to Mother's prayer.
Thank you, Ellen. Mrs. Paulus Peterson of Traverse City, Michigan. Once, one of your letters arrives at a U.S. Fighter Squadron Air Base on Guadalcanal, an answer to a son's need for guidance and advice.
I had written to you, Mother, saying I had broken the commandment, thou shalt not kill.
Well, it's your third son, here from Walker Air Force Base, Roswell, New Mexico, Major Martell. Killing the enemy in numbers from your fighter plane had preyed on your mind. Is that right, Major Glommen?
That's right, Ralph. But I got a beautiful letter from Mother telling me that the justice of that matter was in power at a higher level. And she told me that there were things and deeds that we had to do for our country. And she helped solve my problem, and I was able to continue on.
Thank you, Major Martell Glommen. They're coming from all over, aren't they, Miss Glommen?
Sure.
Many of your letters tell of your hobby of painting pictures to fill the time of your children's absence. You'd begun it as a young woman, but when your children came along, you dropped it until a certain time.
Mother began painting again when Carl knocked a hole in the wall.
Here's your fourth son to tell us that story from Santa Monica, California, Edward Glommen. She's been very worried about you, of course, staying at your house here, you know, and you were the one that fixed all this up so far as the surprise of getting her. She said, my goodness, I thought maybe he needed some money and had to go back to work or something like that there. Supposed to be on a vacation, yet he was running down to work when actually he's coming to our place. How did your brother Carl start your mother back to being an artist again, Edward?
Well, he was showing off his muscles and took a wild swing at the wall with his fist and knocked a big hole in it. Well, Mother tried to fix it, and she didn't do a very good job, so she painted a scene over it. Well, as us kids continued to wreck the house, she continued to paint pictures on the wall. Every wall in the house had a picture of him.
What did you use to make your paintbrushes with, Miss Glommen?
Oh, somebody tell you that?
Come on, tell us. What did you
I
use?
used to cut little pieces of their hair and wrap it around a match.
Made a pretty good little paintbrush, didn't it? Well, thank you. Edward Glommen of Santa Monica, California. Thanks, Ed. Did you do this when they were getting haircuts, or did you just...
Oh, they didn't use short hair then like they do now, you know. They wore longer hair.
No butches. You could snip
Yeah.
some off and they'd never notice it
They'd
at
never
all?
know it. I just lift it up and cut it off.
Careful, don't try it on me here. We'll see a big catastrophe around. Edward served in the Merchant Marine in the Pacific War zones. Edward did. And his twin brother, Anton, was in the Merchant Marine in the Atlantic.
That's right.
Today, Anton is an engineer officer aboard ore boats in the Great Lakes. Here he is from Wayzata, Minnesota, your son, Anton Glommen.
Did you know about it a long time?
Oh, yeah.
Where did your mother's letters follow you, Anton?
Well, Ralph, they came to me on the ships all over the world before and after the invasion of France. And one letter in particular kept me from quitting the job that I now have.
Would you tell us about that, Anton?
Well, you remember, Mother, when I was in officers training school, and the course was pretty tough, and I wrote home and told you that I was going to quit, and you wrote and told me in many different ways that anything worthwhile in life was hard to get. So I buckled down, finished the course, and got my officers ready.
Oh, isn't that wonderful?
Thank you, Anton Glommen, Wayzata, Minnesota. Another boy from home to sees Mommy tonight. Well, I know it's exciting to you to have these fine sons of yours appearing from all over the map, and Ellen here, too. Now, you'll get a chance to share lots more memories with them tonight at a party in your honor at the Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel, where they've all been staying. You've been out in Santa Monica with Ed while they've been down here, see? Right now, you just sort of catch your breath, Mrs. Glommen, while we give our attention to a bride who discovered that dishwashing need not mean the end of pretty hands, not with joy around.
Her bridal shower. Well, her own pretty china. Pretty ring. Pretty hands, too. But will her hands stay pretty when she starts washing those dishes 3 times a day, every day? They will, long after her wedding day, if she uses joy. Because today's joy is made to be mild 3 times a day. Made to gentle her hands the 3 times a day she puts them in hot dishwater. In fact, today's joy is now as mild as a bubble bath. Leaves hands looking soft and smooth, pretty, always. So remember, if you do the dishes 3 times a day, treat your hands the mild and gentle way. Joy. Use joy. Your hands need today's joy, made to be mild 3 times a day.
Thank you very much. You're just sitting here reminiscing and reminiscing. I bet the memory wheels are going around, aren't they, Mrs. Glommen?
I should say so.
Well, back now to your life, Mrs. Sadie Glommen of Royal Oak, Michigan. One of the greatest missions your letters have performed is to welcome into the family and into your love the girls your boys have married and the man your daughter married. Now, to tell us about that, here's another son from Minneapolis where he's a social worker. Here's your boy, Harvey Glommen. Well, Harvey, I believe you brought along a letter there which shows the beauty of the letters that your mother writes. Would you read part of it for us?
Yes, I will. Mother, you sent this letter to Ina May just before we got married. We've always treasured it, and here are your words. Dear Ina May, Harvey has written me that you have decided to go hand in hand through life together. To me, Harvey is very precious, my baby, and has been a darling son, but I give him very willingly into your care. I think that when 2 people love each other and ask God to lead them and keep them ever true to him and to each other, they have founded their home on a rock, and it shall prosper. May God bless you both.
How many grandchildren do you have altogether, Miss Glommen? Have you counted them recently?
26, 27, I think.
You're not sure now. You lost count. How many are there altogether? You fellas know?
27, I think.
27. Mom knows, you see. Well, now, it's been a long time since you saw most of them. Would you like to go see the new ones and see how much the others have grown?
Sure.
Well, Prell would like to make you a gift of such a trip. You'll travel on TWA, all expenses paid, to Colorado, New Mexico, Michigan, Alaska, and Minnesota, and visit at your convenience in the homes of your daughter and all your sons. How's that sound to you?
Oh, that's just wonderful.
Yeah, and you can show them this, Bob Warren, would you bring that in, please? This specially designed charm bracelet.
Thank you.
Made for you by Marshall Jewelers of New York City.
Very much.
You'll find that each little charm is a special memento of something in your life. Now, you can make movies of all the grandchildren on your own Bell & Howell 16mm movie camera, which you now own, and you can screen them and a film of tonight's program on this Bell & Howell sound projector. When you come back from the trips, you'll have so many pictures of the kids, you know. You'll have to show them all. Now, we know you gave away your old car to your eldest granddaughter to use while she's away in college. Yes. Well, the Edsel division of the Ford Motor Company wants to rectify that, so Prell has made arrangements with them to present you with this exciting new kind of car. A car that makes history by making sense. This brand new 1959 Ranger 4-door Edsel. How about that, eh? Oh, sure, the whole gang. Now you'll be able to get around, see all your children and friends whenever the whim strikes you. And with Edsel's new economy engine, you'll get lots of go with a lot less gas. You'll enjoy it, I'm sure, and look at all the chauffeurs you got to help you out around with it. Well, let's see, how many have we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But one child remains to make your 20-year dream come true, because it's been that long since you've had all of your children reunited with you. Isn't that so?
That's right.
So here from Anchorage, Alaska, where he's in government work with the United States Weather Bureau, is your son, Richard Glommen.
Oh, my goodness.
Now all your wandering children are together at last, Miss Glommen.
This is wonderful for all of us, Ralph. It gives us children a chance to honor our mother for the many years of hard work that she put in to raise us. She made our clothes. She washed piles of clothes every day, all of it on an old hand washboard. And all the water that she used had to be carried from a well 300 feet from the house. She baked, she used about 25 pounds of flour to make bread every week. Just work all the time from morning till night. And she never pitied herself, but always gave thanks for her big family. And believe me, we give thanks, all of us, for having her as our mother.
My goodness, Ellen, when did she find any time for herself, or did she?
Well, she didn't have much time, but once in a while she had this terrific urge to paint.
Yeah?
So the only way she could get away from us was to go upstairs and lock herself in her room so the kids wouldn't bump her elbows.
Well, she won't have to do that tonight, because you're going on all over at the party and have a wonderful time. Because this is your life, Mrs. Sadie Glommen, Royal Oak, Michigan, and of the children you kept bound together as a family by your pen and your love. A noble life of self-sacrifice and of spiritual grace and goodness. Good night. May God bless you. Thank you.
Our out-of-town guests are flown to Hollywood via TWA's luxurious jet stream featuring exclusive siesta sleeper seats. Fly the finest, fly TWA Jetstream service. This Is Your Life has been brought to you by Gentle Joy, the dishwashing liquid that gentles your hands, the liquid that's made to be mild 3 times a day. And Gleam, the toothpaste for people who can't brush after every meal.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're always happy to do the stories, the life stories that you want to see. Every once in a while, we ask you people out across America to let us know about some person we'd have no way of knowing about unless you wrote us. So if you have some wonderfully worthy person whose life you'd like to see on This Is Your Life, please write to us. You can write to me, This Is Your Life, care of NBC, Hollywood, California. Next week on This Is Your Life, a story that we feel is one of the most thrilling we've ever done. Be sure to be with us. Good night. Thank you very much.
This Is Your Life is a Ralph Edwards production, produced by Axel Grunberg and directed by Richard Gottlieb. Be sure to watch Loretta Young on most of these same stations every Sunday night.